Hello there, it's Psychic Cynthia, and Happy New Year, Happy 2021. It's a new year, and we have new cosmic shifts for this new year. And it just so happens that right at the beginning of this year, there are some major shifts, some major changes from what the energies were in the year before. So yay! It doesn't always happen that way. Just because the clock strikes January 1st on the Gregorian calendar, and I get to celebrate my birthday, that doesn't mean necessarily that the energies are going to be a lot different from, say, where they were at in December or even November or October of the previous year. But in this year ahead, we do have some major sign changes, and actually some of them just happened in December. So there is a shift in the energies, and I think many of you will be glad to hear that. I've already done a video about a little bit about my forecast for the year ahead, but I wasn't quite happy with that. So we're going to do a redo here, and let's see if I can talk about some stuff that I think that you need to know, dear one, for helping you to be energized and uplifted in the year ahead, helping you to actually move forward. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this video today, I'm kind of doing a retake actually, or maybe just a different part of it. I felt like before we talk about the energies of 2021 or talk about them by themselves, I thought it would be good to talk about what we're transitioning out of at the end of 2020 and then how that's different in 2021. So just real briefly, I want you to understand the energies that we were under in 2020. And you know, it was a tough year, and the astrology showed that it would be. And I don't know what all other astrologers predicted for the year ahead, but when I did my forecast video for 2020, I actually named it something like Ragnarok, meaning doomsday. So I did foresee that it would be a difficult year. Now, I could not have foresaw the events that happened. I say that because even if I had, I wouldn't have believed it. Okay. Yes, we had a concentration of energies in 2020, a concentration of cosmic shifts, of astrological shifts in the earth element and the sign of Capricorn in particular. And, you know, I'm very qualified to do this, you know, talk about Capricorn for you and what that all meant. And also Saturn, what that will mean going forward in 2021, because I'm born underneath the sign of Capricorn. So I get it. I truly understand what it's like to be under those energies. And we were all under very strong Capricorn energies in 2020. And you can feel this on a personal level, because if you felt at all restricted, limited, weighed down, held back, in other words, if you felt at all like you were hitting up against walls, you had grand dreams, grand visions, and then yet not the resources or the help, or it's just to achieve them, it's not easy, and is what I'm saying. Capricorn is not an easy sign. It is a very difficult sign to be under the influence of. And believe me, I know I was born under this star, so to speak, this sign. When you have strong Capricorn in your chart, whether that's the sun, the moon, or say a lot of planets, or even to some extent a strong Saturn, then you are going to face, usually in this life, many limitations, especially early on, many obstacles. You're going to be held back. You're not going to have the resources that other people have, at least to start with. And it's a special kind of karma. So that's what we experienced in 2020 as a collective. I mean, and of course, each individual is different. I mean, your story is unique, and it is uniquely yours. Not to mention, your astrology chart is uniquely yours. So even though we do these forecasts for the collective, understand the collective is made up of individuals. And each individual's chart will be a little bit different. And as these energies activate your chart in its own unique way, you will have a unique experience. So it's possible that in this year behind us, you could have made progress in some ways. I think even those of us born with strong Capricorn influence, especially those of us born with strong Capricorn influence, we were able to progress some. Why is that? Because we're used to this kind of bullcrap. We're used to hitting up against walls. We're used to things not being easy. That's how it's always been for us. So we know how to be patient and to persevere and to get through that. But this isn't just for people born underneath Capricorn. I want you to understand that the year that we had was about those lessons in Capricorn, and the lessons relating to patience and perseverance and staying the course even when the going gets tough, or sometimes changing the course, because contrary to popular opinion, Capricorn is a sign of change, great change. It's one of the most powerful change makers in the world. And Capricorns are very pragmatic, so if a path is not working out, they just take a different one. And that's what we all needed to learn to do in 2020. So this energy was very strong. It was not an easy energy. And I don't think I need to tell you that 2020 wasn't an easy year, but I just want to help you digest the year in terms of the energies so that you can move forward. The better you understand what actually happened on a spiritual psychic level, on a cosmic level in 2020, the energies and what they were trying to teach us, the better you understand that, dear one, the easier it will be for you to actually move forward. You know, you have to process a year like 2020. You have to give yourself time to pause and consider what happened for you and what is happening still inside as a result of that. It was a heavy karma year, and Capricorn is a heavy karma sign, and so is Saturn, the planet that was most active, arguably, in 2020, one of them, at least I should say. You know, we had Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn for a lot of 2020. And that was a very heavy, intense energy. Again, in the earth element of Capricorn. And earth, you know, deals with the material realm. It deals with the body, with health, physical health, I should say. It deals with finances. Capricorn itself deals with the ability to work and have a career and have a good living. So we saw that all of these things were activated in 2020. And even the lockdowns and the restrictions, these are all very signature aspects of Capricorn energy. Restrictions are signature aspects. Now understand that cosmically speaking, whenever you have limitations or restrictions or setbacks or disappointments that are due to a Capricorn or Saturn influence, there is a cosmic purpose to this. There is a higher purpose, in other words. You know, it's not just so the universe can kick you in the ass and drag you down. I know it feels like that sometime. And, you know, if you are feeling discouraged, if you just feel like you just got kicked in the rear and that's all 2020 was about for you. I mean, I think a lot of us feel that, but I know some more than others. So if you are feeling down and discouraged in that way, my heart goes out to you. And I just want you to know the energies are going to be different for 2021. Equally challenging in their own way, but at least different. And I think we're ready for different, aren't we? So there are different things coming our way, but understand there was a purpose to it. There was a reason, cosmically speaking. The universe is loving. It is kind. I believe that. At least I do, okay? And even if you just think of it as neutral, and perhaps it is. I like to think of the universe as being on our side and loving and kind, but maybe that's just my own bias. But I know at least it's neutral. And I do know that cosmic energies are neutral, and yet they have a purpose. There is an organization to it all. There is a reason, a structure, to use a Saturn Capricorn word. So these things that were happening in 2020 relating to the earth element in your financial realm, in your health realm, in your body realm, and I think many of us experience limitations in one or more of these areas. There's also effects on the family and relationship realm by way of the opposite sign, Cancer. And even though there weren't planets, you know, at least major planets in Cancer last year, Anytime one sign is majorly activated, you're going to see the themes of the opposite sign also activated to a lesser degree. So you may have had struggles or challenges or setbacks in these areas in 2020, but the purpose of it is to help you grow, to help you get stronger. Saturn gives you a wall to push up against. It helps to crystallize and define what you stand for as well. It's been interesting for me to watch people grow and evolve and really come out more in 2020, in the year behind us, and now even in 2021, the first few days, as people formulate more of where they stand on certain things. You know, that's part of the purpose of Saturn too. So we had a lot of that energy in 2020, and we did see that in the external world. We saw governments, you know, taking on more authoritarian power, and you know, whether you agree with that or disagree with that, that's what we saw. And that is very Capricornian in sort of the more extreme way, in the lesser evolved way, I would say, where, you know, Father Saturn, Big Brother, you know, big government, whatever it is, you know, the rulers, okay, basically, the rulers impose limitations and rules onto those who are being ruled. And, you know, often it is said that it is for the good of those who they are leading. I think sometimes it is, and I think that if you have somebody acting under the influence of Capricorn energy with, say, Aquarius at the same time, or a higher vibration of Capricorn even, I think that truly there is a benign, loving influence. But, you know, you have to look at our overall world that we're living in, and that, you know, many of the vibrations of probably even most of the people still at this time are at the middle level, at the highest. That's being very generous. I mean, we have many people in our world still who need much more evolution, who are vibrating at a very low. What I mean by that is a very materialistic level. Materialistic means, yes, you know, motivated by greed or money, but also really locked into the 3D consciousness, you know. In other words, so attached to the body and obsessed with food and survival. I mean, if you think that you are your body, and if, you know, you're worried that when that body dies, you won't exist anymore, that is a materialistic consciousness. And it's very different from those of us who come from a spiritual-based consciousness. You might say more of a 4D or 5D consciousness, just a higher consciousness, where we understand there is more to life than physical existence. There is more to life than just eating and going to the bathroom and satisfying your physical comforts. And even though the earth signs deal with that, with these Capricorn energies, you know, Capricorn is the highest vibration of the earth signs. So it was challenging us to push up against our resistance, to push through, to grow, to mature, to deal with karma, to come into that higher person that we can be, a person of great integrity, a person of great honor, a masterful person. So if you didn't quite get these lessons of Capricorn, well, you'll have some more chances in 2021, but in different ways, because Saturn is still in the forefront, but in a different sign. But think about some of these things and look at where are you mastering your skills, your talents? Where are you mastering yourself? Where do you need more mastery? And here's a clue. Look at the areas of life where you're very unorganized, or where you're just not very good at them, okay? I know for me, it's probably the financial realm, where I don't like to look at that aspect very much. I can be really good at it because I am a Capricorn with a lot of earth energy. I just don't always enjoy giving him my time. So I'm really more into really the creative aspect, not just the spiritual, but I love to write and make videos and drum and dance. And so, you know, So for you, like, you're going to have some areas of life that are easier to give your attention to because those are your passions or your interest. And for me, you know, it's the creative and the spiritual realm. And then, you know, dealing with the financial realm, not so much. I love to cook and clean, and I don't have much of a problem with those things. But so where is the weak link in your fence? And that is an area that Capricorn, you know, and Saturn is still challenging us to do more in it. And that will be helpful for you as we transition into the new year ahead. All right, let's take a deep breath in. Shall we go just a little further? I think we shall. And listen, if it's getting too long for you, you can just hit pause and come back later. But please do, because if you've watched my videos before, you know I often save the best for last. In this new year of 2021, just take a moment to breathe and pause and do digest the year behind us. Don't try to just rush forward into the new year if you're not ready yet. Instead, give yourself some time to gradually ease into the new year. In this new year ahead, we are moving out of the influence of Capricorn and to a great extent, you know, having less earth energy, but still some. And we're moving into the influence of air energy, especially Aquarius. And in some ways, I almost view this year as really being an acceleration of our entry into the age of Aquarius. Because we have a lot of Aquarian energy in this year. Yes, we have many shifts happening in the air signs because Mercury will be retrograding in the air signs, all three of them this year. So that just brings to focus the element of air is communication. It is lighter, it is freer than Earth, or it can be, I should say, because our communication can be restricted too, right? But in general, air, it, you know, can bring in a breath of fresh air, right? It can bring in some levity. It can bring in a different kind of lightness that we may be needing. But the main focus is on Aquarius, sign-wise, and then Taurus in the earth element. What a strange combination. They make a square to each other, and we see that this year, in the year ahead 2021, the most significant activated shift is the Saturn Uranus square, with Saturn being in Aquarius and Uranus being in Taurus. In my opinion, the Saturn in Aquarius part of this shift or aspect is the stronger element, no pun intended. Because not only do we have Saturn in Aquarius, but for much of this year, until May, and then again after July, we also have Jupiter in Aquarius. So there's kind of a double energy there. And then, of course, there'll be some of the inner planets in Aquarius. So Aquarius is a fixed sign, and so is Taurus. So there's emphasis on the determined, fixed, steady, plotting energies in 2021. So we're being asked to keep going or get going and move in a certain direction. And, you know, change is not as easy when we're under the influence of the fixed signs. On the other hand, once we get on a path, sustaining that path is much easier. So I'd like to see that for some of you who are starting new ventures. If it's truly adventure aligned with your soul, then you should be able to stay on the path a little bit easier. The universal energies are supporting that in 2021. Now, Aquarius, you know, is this wacky rebel sign. You know, it's very eccentric and unusual. It can be absurd in some ways at times, but it likes to think outside of the box. And in its highest vibration, Aquarius is the astrologer, the metaphysician, or the scientist who is making brilliant breakthroughs to serve humanity, for example. And you can look at this on a personal level where this is the part of you that is very innovative. It wants to innovate. It wants to think outside of the box. It may be a restless part for sure. It's always wanting to move forward into something new. Aquarius is the revolutionary, they say, and the rebel. I like to think of Aquarius, though, in its highest vibration as being the evolutionary force. Evolutionary is change from within, change by linking up to your higher self, by developing your own higher consciousness, instead of what revolutionaries tend to do, which is not a bad thing, and it does help to some extent to develop some change in society. It sort of gets it going, where a revolutionary stages protest, or, sometimes worse, there are violent revolutionaries. I mean, that's not unusual. Actually, what am I saying? All revolutions, true revolutions, are violent. That's why I prefer evolution. Evolution is non-violent, typically, or at least less violent, and it doesn't inflict violence on another person or another group of people. And, I get it, violence is part of the evolutionary, I don't know if it's evolutionary, no, it's just part of, well, it could be part of the evolution, depending on where your consciousness is at, okay? So, yeah, if you're at a lower state of consciousness, then you will express revolutionary energy when you are under the influence of Aquarius. But for those of you who are at a slightly higher state of consciousness or above, you're going to express this in an evolutionary way. In other words, you're not going to seek to try to force change on people outside of you, because you really can't do that. Even with an evolution, or a revolution, all we can do is put in new people in power. We can put in new laws. We can tear down buildings and all of that. In other words, we can change physical structures. But that is part of the 3D thinking. Again, evolution is more of a 4D, 5D, a higher consciousness, experience, where as you change your thoughts, as you change your frequency, you have a more profound effect upon the world. And that doesn't mean you can't participate in some activities that might be thought of as political or revolutionary. That would be up to you and your own intuition and how you're led for that. But it's about focusing on your own frequency. And I'm using the word frequency here very specifically and for a reason, because Aquarius, that sign, Saturn's in Aquarius, is the sign of frequency. And with Saturn in Aquarius, it's like the universe is saying to us all, you are having a time here in this year ahead to master your frequencies, to master your thoughts. Aquarius is the higher thought patterns. Just as Capricorn is the highest vibration of the earth energy, Aquarius is the highest vibration of air energy. And air represents our thought processes, our mental processes, and to a great extent, our mental communication processes. So you are being challenged with Saturn here. Saturn is the tester, okay? It is the challenger. Remember, Saturn puts up tests for us. It puts up limitations. It doesn't actually put them up. They're always there, okay? It just makes you aware of the limitations that were there. So in this year ahead, Saturn will make you aware of the limitations you have in your thought processes, in your communication processes. And a really smart way to go about it is just to, like I am doing for this year, I am setting a goal. It's really my only main goal. I think it's that important, is to master my frequencies, to raise my frequencies, to be the master of my own thought processes, instead of letting, the outside data from, say, the media or even other people, instead of letting that, determine my frequency, especially when that outside data, that outside static is of more of a negative or mind-controlling nature. Saturn in Aquarius says the need to transcend outdated thought processes, the need to rise above materialism, the need to go into the higher self. And it's also a placement of purpose. It's also a placement that's saying, where will you be the water bearer? Where will you pour out your gifts upon humanity from a mind and heart of compassion? Where will you think of what you can do to actually be of service to others? And I'm not talking about, well, some of the things people think of when they think of this. I mean, I'm talking about really living a life of service. I'm talking about, caring for others in whatever way you can do that in your life. It doesn't have to be anything gigantic. It might be bringing a neighbor some food, or even more Aquarian would be teaching neighbors how to grow food. Especially with Saturn in Aquarius, I think about technology relating to the earthly realms, which would include, especially with Uranus and Taurus making that square, it would include our food. We also have Uranus and Taurus. Here's what's interesting. Uranus is the natural ruler of Aquarius, so it's squaring its own sign. But Aquarius has two rulers. It's also ruled by Saturn. So Aquarius is receiving energy from both of its rulers this year. So we need to look at the innovative part, the evolutionary or revolutionary parts of ourselves that are going to throw off outdated structures and outdated thoughts, outdated inner patterns. And then we also need to look at creating new structures, tangible routines in your day-to-day life for doing better, for doing higher, for being more of your higher self. So this is just a little snapshot, really of the year ahead, also helping you to integrate 2020. There'll be more videos relating to all of this in the future, so do stay subscribed to my Psychic Cynthia YouTube channel. Also check out my cosmic newsletter. If you like to read, you can get that on my website at cynthiakillian.com. Killian is spelled like million, but with a K. I think there are many opportunities, though. I want you to know in the year ahead, many opportunities. If you're willing to connect with that higher self, if you're willing to think outside the box, if you're willing to take charge of your thoughts and listen, don't let other people tell you what you have to think or how you have to be. Not even me, okay? Don't let anybody tell you how you have to be. Listen to the information. Be open, as we should. In an air sign influence year, we should be open. We should gather up information and then use your discernment. I think that's where the Saturn comes into play, and to some extent even the Taurus. Be discerning. Be especially discerning with your spiritual teachers that you follow. Look at them and ask yourself, are they living lives of integrity? And are they real? Or have they sold out? There's a lot of teachers out there who've sold out. I hate to say it. And listen, I'm not against teachers making money. I know that we must earn money to be in this three-dimensional reality. But the question is, are the people you're following, even in the spiritual realm, in any realm, are they people who are aligned with higher purpose and that's what is driving them? And are they aligned with that service mentality, or just the idea of pouring out the waters? Are they pouring out the waters from their heart? Are they coming from that heart and higher mind space? Or are they coming from the lower vibrations of greed, of self-serving interest? And the same thing could be applied to governments, to politicians, to people in organizations, to leaders in business type settings, to CEOs, even to your own role as a family member, in a community member and in your relationships. You want to pour out your higher vibrations. We're all going to pour out something. Okay, that's the thing with this Aquarian influence. The energies that we have, the thoughts that we are tied into and tapped into, those are going to come pouring out like an electricity. They're going to power our lives and influence people around us. So think about what you want influencing, whether that is what you're looking at coming in from the outside or from the inside. And I will tell you, what comes from the inside out is the most powerful of all. In other words, your own thoughts and what comes that way, that is the most powerful for you. And yet, what is inside can be influenced from the outside. So choose your influences your groups, and your teachers very wisely in this year ahead. On that note, I'm wishing you many blessings, a wonderful week, month, and year ahead. Bright blessings.